So, little one, I saw a few people having trouble with the last few missile hits on capital B, so I thought I'd take a look at some of my older runs and see if I maybe am able to like formulate the strategy that I'm using into words and put it out there so that you will have an easier time getting those last few hits on capital B when he takes the skies and also starts flying around. So, in this run, we're gonna come up on one of the last normal missile hits. So I don't need to say anything about the normal missile hits, they're trivial, when he is just standing there and he shoots one missile. So I hope at least this is the right part. It might be the regular missile still. Yeah, so this is the last regular missile. And after this he's gonna do something and he's gonna shoot two missiles at once. And after he shoots the second missile, he's gonna fly and pick a direction he wants to fly in. So he shoots the second missile. After the second missile, he's going to turn towards a certain direction. In this way, he turned right towards the camera. And he's going to start flying off. Now, if you look at his posture, you can kind of see which way he wants to fly. Especially the way he looks. Like, right now, so usually he picks a direction, and then he looks in a direction. He looks either to the right side, or he looks a bit to the left side, and he starts turning his body towards that side. So you have a few seconds here to figure out which way he's going to fly. So right here, at this point in the run, I already know which way he's going to fly. I know he's going to fly to this side. So I start my fly up, and I fly right towards him. Right at this point where the first missile that he shot is starting to point at me. This is the point. So you see where he's going to go. You start up your fly. Right as he passes under you, or if he goes somewhere else, it doesn't matter. But right as he passes over the walkable platform, at least, you're going to start up your fly, the first missile is going to come towards you, and because you know where he's going to go, you have the first missile right behind you, and you just started your fly up, and you can already instantly guide the missile to where he's going to go before he's even completely on his circular path yet. So he's just about to get on his circular path, and I'm already right there at him with the missile behind him, and boom, there it goes. If you do it this way, the second missile is going to be lagging behind. And because the second missile is lagging behind, you're going to have an easier time to avoid it with this one. And then you can just cross it up. And when you cross it up, you make sure that it flies behind you again. So now it's behind me again, and you're now flying across the center of the room. Then you just turn to the side a bit and smash it into his face from the front. It's a lot easier to hit hits like that. Why am I getting Skype messages? Just ignore them. To hit him like this, because so he flies around in this corner, in this circle, and when he's on one corner of the room and you're trying to get ahead of him, especially when he's really fast, if you're flying behind him, it's going to take a while to catch up to him. The missiles need to catch up as well. If you're really close, it's still all right, but if you've got the time to reorient yourself, you really want to just try and get to the middle again. Have the missile right behind you, and then turn the missile to face into him. This also not only makes it so he flies into it, which might be a little bit faster, especially when he's really fast. When he's really fast, you have to do this anyway. And you can see that by crossing up right next to him. So the thing is, since the missile is coming from the center of the room, flying towards the side, if you then cross behind him, the missile has to pass through his path. And the missile is actually on his path for a very long time. And if you just slightly cross him from the middle, cross by him, the missile has to go through him. There's no way that missile misses unless you make some really weird mistakes. It happens sometimes, like not always. Sometimes I do miss this missile, but it doesn't happen very often. And whenever it does happen, I'm still in a position where I can just circle around once more and hit the next one. So now we have two hits in. Also, something to note is you cannot hit him twice at once. You have to space out the two hits, or otherwise the second hit won't deal damage. So now he's going to start shooting two missiles again. Now I want to get as close to him as possible. Don't go anywhere else. Don't go far or anything. You want to go as close to him as possible. That's what happens if you go really close, is the missile goes really far above you. There's no way this missile gets anywhere close to you. The missile, like let's say you're down here, the missile goes way over you. And once it's past you, it's going to have to like turn around to the side, swing around again, and then try and hit you. That's a really long time. If I want to, I could get an energy recharge right here. because this first missile takes such a long time to get to me because it's flying right over me as soon as it's being shot. If you're going far away from him, you have absolutely no time to get your energy recharged because the missile is getting shot, and then after a certain while the missile like activates its heat-seeking mode, and then it instantly whoop goes right towards you and you can't dodge it anymore. Once a missile is on a straight path towards you and you're not flying, you cannot really dodge it anymore unless you're extremely lucky. The best way to dodge missiles in here is to make sure they don't even get to lock onto you on a straight path. So here I wait for the first missile to go past, and then I just swing around a bit. Once again, I have the first missile coming right towards you. So if you wait for the first missile to just pass over you and then you start up your fly, you're gonna be able to swing around while the missile is like getting its lock on you, and it's gonna fly right towards you. Now I screw this up a little bit because I go too close to the guy instead of like going a bit ahead of him. You usually want to go a bit ahead of him and then swing into him. Here I got a bit greedy and didn't actually go ahead of him at all, and it ended up with me not getting a hit. But I was really close to him, so I was able to get a hit on him anyway, and I got the double hit. If you go ahead of him, here, usually you could still hit the second missile while he's being damaged like this. If you miss him with the second missile right here, you will have to probably eat the missile hit from that missile unless you do some weird dodging. So the reason why we want to get both hits in here right away, or we want to get hit by the second one, is because I want there to not be a missile in the air while he does this. So after the third hit in here, he's gonna do a 3 missile shot, and I think I actually have a better video for this. Wait a second. Okay, so in this video I'm just about to get my second hit, and I did screw up a bit because once again I got greedy. That's usually the only thing that screws me over. I get greedy because I want to save like 1 second by doing something stupid, but don't actually do that. So yeah, I get 1 hit in here. I'm so far to the side of him that I missed the second hit. That's just, yeah, I don't know what I did there. Anyway, if that happens, it's okay. Just eat the second missile, like I said earlier. So now he's gonna shoot his 3 missiles, and he's gonna shoot all 3 missiles. And after he shoots the third one, he's gonna start flying again. So the thing is, he's gonna start flying again in the same direction that he's just been flying in. Also, something to notice: even if there's still a missile in the air, he will still shoot 3 times. It's just that a third shot is not going to produce a missile. He just does the animation and no missile comes out. So it doesn't actually save any time to still have a missile up here, because you still have to wait for the entire animation to go through before you can damage him again. So as he shot his first missile, and the second missile is about to come out. Boom. So now the second missile comes out, and it's usually when the second missile comes out, you see the first missile is starting to turn around towards you. So I start up a fly, go to the side, and catch the missile, or I catch his lock-on. Because if you don't go towards the missile here, it's going to start flying in circles around you again. But I want to make sure that it has a clear shot towards me. So I go ahead of it, I grab the missile, and then I got the missile right behind me. I got the missile right behind me, and I'm about to cross the boss. So this timing right here is very close. So this strat is, I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it can be fairly consistent if you do everything very similarly each time. So right here I got it down fairly well. I got the missile right behind me, and you can already see what's gonna happen. Bam, right in his face. So if I can go over it again, yeah, the second missile is gonna come out right here. I start up the fly, I grab the first rocket in front, and then I just guide it towards the boss. Now let's say, you see the missile in this case, it was curving towards the right, and the boss was also flying towards the right, so that was pretty good. But let's say the boss is going towards the left. You can still do a similar strat like this, but after you catch the missile, and you cannot really instantly hit the boss because the boss is now on the other side of the room. But you can still get a fairly quick hit in if you just now grab the missile and you start flying on the same circle that the boss is flying, but you just charge towards him. You can also go a little bit further towards the center, and then when the boss comes, you cross him again, so that the missile has to definitely fly through the boss's path. Also, something to notice: if you spam your A button to fly a lot, you're gonna hit the invisible ceiling above you, and the invisible ceiling is, let's say, about 2 meters or 1 meter above the boss's hitbox. So if you spam A and you hit the ceiling above you, you're so high up that if you have a missile behind you, it will just barely pass over the boss's hitbox. So you want to make sure you don't actually do that. You want to be a little bit lower than that. I've never seen people have missiles go under the boss, but I keep seeing people getting missiles above the boss, so keep that in mind. But yeah, that's usually the strats that I do. To summarize, just take a look at the first missile, try to get a flight timing that grabs the first missile and a lock-on behind you, figure out where the boss is going, and then cross his path from the center if possible. So that should make it fairly consistent, and even if you miss, you should be in a spot where you can just keep hitting him. So yeah, that should be about that. Hope you got something from this, and I'll see you guys next time.